No further.
My generals, in killing my wife,
Please!
humanity has proven to me that they don't deserve the Earth. We will scour them off the land.
My father, he's gone mad.
And now he's going to destroy the world.
Human scheme and betray. They all must die.
Imagine it. A world without humans. Under endless night.
My God.
Dracula has to be destroyed. We can't fail.
Stand back.
We're all gonna die! All of us! Enough!
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. They finally dropped a proper trailer for Castlevania Season 2, so we gotta break it down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. There's actually a lot of really cool stuff coming up from Netflix. Anime is kind of their secret weapon now, but they're also working on that new Witcher TV series, but they're not even going to be shooting that till later this year, and it'll probably take them another year to get it out, so it could be 2020 before we see that. But if you're not familiar with the Castlevania series, the plot of this is based mostly on the plot of the Castlevania 3 game because it primarily follows Trevor Belmont and his adventure to take down Dracula, who's an ancestor to the original Simon Belmont from the beginning of the series. The project itself has a really interesting history. It started out as a movie. When that fell through, they decided to turn it into a TV series. So that's why Season 1 is only 4 episodes, because that's basically the movie that they expanded a little bit and then just dropped it on Netflix as a series. Then because it turned out so awesome and people liked it so much, they renewed it for Season 2, but doubled the order. So Season 2 is 8 episodes, much closer to a proper series, but the events of Season 1 are mostly Dracula meeting his wife, them having Alucard, and him trying to live life as a normal human. Like, she inspires him to be a better person, because there's this little prequel where she finds him at the beginning of the series, enters his castle seeking knowledge to become a healer. He just completely flabbergasted and ends up falling in love with her.
I've known you 2 minutes, and you offer for me to walk the earth like an ordinary peasant, while I give you the knowledge of immortals, the true science.
They have Alucard, but then later, as he's sort of traveling the land around, the church burns her as a witch, because part of the twist of Season 1 is that the bishop is the real enemy. The church itself is kind of an antagonist, but not the entire church, just through this particular bishop. They don't throw them all under the bus. But as they're burning her at the stake, some of the other church officials are questioning it, like, well, maybe she wasn't quite so bad. But the bishop, played by Matt Freewer, his voice is very recognizable. It's just like, nope, she's done. Burn her at the stake. All of our problems are her fault. We'll burn her. It'll solve everything. So Dracula finds out and declares war on all of humanity, starting with Wallachia.
What have you done? Satan! What have you done to my wife?
So Season 1 is him summoning the Night Horde in the beginning of their attack. Season 2 seems like there's a bit of a time jump and you get to meet all the generals. So the name of Dracula's army is the Night Horde. It's huge. It has its own generals, its own power structure. You see some of the different beasts that they employ. You see them tinkering with bodies, infusing them with demonic energy. So there's just like a whole side of this that you didn't get with Season 1 because it was only 4 episodes. The only real Night Horde characters that we meet are right at the end when Trevor is defeating these last hellhounds and they speak to the bishop before they take him down, and the rest of the town starts to burn to ashes. it seems like Dracula's generals are collecting the bodies after that battle, so the beasts that they defeated in the finale were really just the beginning. Like, that's what they say. We have an army. You have no idea how big the horde is. And then they promptly fall into Alucard's tomb, wake him up, and form their alliance. And then it just cuts to the credits. Between showing off Dracula's generals, they show a couple different encounters here. Like, it opens on this snowy little town. It's them just traveling through. They probably just come upon some of the night horde. But you have to imagine that Dracula is just going from town to town. This much larger town looks a little bit like Wallachia, but it could be another town. But the whole idea is that Dracula intends to wipe humanity from the entire Earth, so it's just expanding from Season 1. Season 1 was largely contained to like 1 or 2 small towns. I tried to check the IMDb. They haven't officially announced who the voice cast is for these new characters playing Dracula's generals, but the animation is fantastic. This is actually a project from one of my former bosses, Fred Siebert at Frederator, but there are a couple different studios involved in producing this. They already announced, actually through Richard Armitage, I think without intending to, that they were going to do a Season 3. It had been backdoor renewed, and they were going to be recording stuff really soon. But that's mostly just because it takes so long to get animation this complex out. There was a joke that one of the animators had that there are more lines in Trevor's mouth than in all of Steven Universe's head, which he tried to explain wasn't a dig on Steven Universe. He wasn't trying to make fun of that series. It's just that some animation is designed to be more simple, some is more complex. Castlevania, because of what they were doing with the series, demanded more complex animation, which itself is actually inspired by Symphony of the Night. So the plot is mostly Castlevania 3, but the design is mostly Symphony of the Night, which, as you can tell, is fantastic. So there are only 4 episodes in Season 1. If you have not watched it yet, or you haven't watched it a billion more times, I recommend checking it out. The interesting thing about Castlevania 3, if you haven't played it, is that there are actually 4 separate endings to that game, so I'm interested to see how they incorporate that into the series, however many seasons it winds up going for. Anime typically doesn't get that many episodes compared to traditional Western animation, so hopefully they'll make it to like 4 or 5 seasons at least, but I'll be curious to see if they incorporate any of those 4 separate endings from the original game, or if it's some sort of twist on that, because yes, they do eventually defeat Dracula, like that's the whole idea of the game, is that you're supposed to be Dracula, you crumble his castle. But there are so many Castlevania games as part of the series that deal with Dracula as the antagonist that you just wonder how they're gonna treat that in the canon, because eventually I think the idea is that Simon Belmont, hundreds of years later, is born. He also fights Dracula, but I'm not expecting that to really be a big part of the series because Trevor Belmont will be the primary protagonist for however long this runs for. So let me know in the comments what you thought of Season 1, what you think of this trailer so far. The official premiere date is Halloween later this year, which seems appropriate. Netflix dropped more Iron Fist Season 2. There was a whole bunch of Avengers stuff. There's more stuff left over from Comic-Con, so I'll try to get through all the videos as fast as possible. Leave all your video requests in the comments below, but click here to learn about that big Disney buyout of Fox that went through yesterday, and click here to rewatch the Dragon Ball Super movie trailer. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.